Hello ladies and gents, as always this is Ander, and welcome to the first episode of 3, 2, 1, Go! This is going to be a new series in which I review free PC games. They don't have to be current or anything, they can be as old as crap and I'll still review them. The only qualifying things are they have to be free. That can be from Flash websites, it can be from small developers who decide to make a free game, whatever. It just has to be free, and of course it has to be on PC. Gonna be trying to do these at least once every week, perhaps more if possible. I am not taking requests at the moment. If you feel free to suggest stuff in the comments if you would like to see a free game reviewed. However, that is no guarantee that I will do that game whatsoever. I might have 10 other games ready to review by then. Just kind of luck of the draw, really. So, no requests, but suggestions, perhaps. Our first game for our first episode is going to be not Tetris 2. The 2 somehow did not make its way into the menu, but I assume that's kind of because it's a remake of Not Tetris 1, but let's start off by first taking a look at the options menu. Kind of very basic options. You got a volume slider so I can turn volume up and down, of course. It's not a smooth continuum, it's at very specific places, which is okay, I guess. I kind of would have liked to see a smooth continuum, but I guess that works for what kind of game it is. Color scheme, I can change the background of the game. I like light cyan, light bluish, so I'm going to leave it where it is. Scale, basically, if I'm not in full screen, I can adjust how big the screen is, and of course full screen, you guys all know what that does. So, menu layout. This is going to feel a little awkward for people who are not used to the old style, old-ish, I put that in air quotes, of games. You can only navigate the menu with the arrow keys. You cannot use your mouse to click on stuff, and to select things you're going to press enter, and you're going to use escape to go back. It's you get used to it after a while, but be warned, it's a little jarring at first. It's a little awkward to move around sometimes, and sometimes, like in the options menu, it's not exactly clear how you're supposed to change stuff. Like with full screen, you actually have to use the arrow keys to select it, and it automatically goes. It's a little weird, so be warned about that. One thing I kind of have an issue with is how the music, as you've probably noticed, switches between the options menu and also the main page and the first player screen. Music though, I like it. It's gone back to the old music of Tetris, the original music. I put that in air quotes because I'm not exactly if that's original, but I'm gonna say it's original. But you have all three types of music, so this is type A, that's type B, and that's type C, or we could have it off. I'm going to leave type A on because I like the typical, what everyone thinks of when you say Tetris music, kind of like that going. And you have 2 different game modes you can choose from. We're going to start with normal so I can teach you the basics of the game. So this game is like Tetris, but as the title suggests, it's not Tetris. So let's get started. So as you can see, it starts off like normal Tetris. Because I'm recording, everything's a little laggy, but hopefully it'll give you the general idea. Basically, this is Tetris, but it's got real physics in it. So I can twist the shapes in ways that they couldn't have been twisted in the first game. So like as you can see, I can spin all 360 degrees instead of just at 90-degree angles. And as you can imagine, that makes the game a lot harder. The difficulty in this game is huge, but in order to compensate for part of that, instead of getting a row that has all blocks filled, you need a certain percentage, I assume, to get a row deleted, as you will probably see later in the game. At the beginning of the game, I like to try and play it like it's regular Tetris. That usually doesn't work out for very long. As you'll probably see in a little bit, soon you start stacking shapes randomly and things get really random, which brings me to my next point, and is probably the thing I like least about the game, is how random it is due to its parody-like qualities, because it's obviously a parody of Tetris. Blocks are going really slow right now. When you actually play this, the blocks will be moving quite a bit faster, just because of recording lag, but randomness. Once you get later or not later into the game, but once the game progresses a little bit, you're going to have randomly stacked blocks. And I'm getting really lucky with my block selection right now that I've managed to keep all my blocks organized. I got 2 rows deleted there, but usually row deletion can be very random. And that's one thing I really don't like about this particular title. Later in the game, it's really not so much about skill, it's how randomly can you place blocks and hope that they get a certain percentage of blocks in a row. How row deletion is done, from what I can see, is once you get the required amount of blocks, the next time you put a block down, the row that is filled enough will be deleted. And yeah, so deletion I could also have found, in addition to its randomness, you can delete rows that are much further down from where the top of the block stack is by compression. And what compression is because all the blocks have more realistic physics than the original Tetris did. If you bring a block down really fast and it smashes down on blocks, they compress slightly. So if you have a row that's not quite full enough to be deleted, but it's pretty close, you compress the block so that row will get filled and it will be deleted next time a block falls down. I guess that helps kind of compensate for the randomness, so it makes it a little easier to play. See, like that. That row was nowhere near the top, but it somehow got deleted because the block that was falling fell in such a way that it compressed all the blocks and filled up the row. At least that's what I can assume the mechanics are. I'm actually getting really lucky right here. Normally, by now, my blocks are about halfway up the screen, but we're getting to a point where there's no Tetris going on. This is pure random block stackage, which is actually surprisingly really fun. This is a game that you're going to want to play for if you have 10-15 minutes to kill. This game does an excellent job of doing that. The game, like the original Tetris, if you do well enough, if you get a certain amount of points, which are earned through deleting rows, if you delete more than 1 row at a time, you get more points. At certain point levels, you're going to level up, or maybe at a certain number of lines. I haven't quite figured it out. I've been trying to look and figure out, but once you level up, the blocks will start falling faster, and faster and faster until eventually you lose. My top score is, I think, 3,000 for the normal mode, but we're doing really well. Maybe we'll beat it this time around. So I wouldn't say this game brings anything completely new to the table in terms of gaming. Definitely a parody of a game, which has to be considered for a lot of these aspects, such as the kind of unoriginal music and sometimes weird rules for the game, like the randomness of how the rows are chosen. So it's really up to you if you decide that these really unconventional rules and kind of strange things sometimes are part of the parody or are just bad traits in the game. Personally, I like to see it as being part of the parody. I think it actually adds a certain flavor that you're not going to find in other Tetris parodies. And here we're getting to the part where we're about halfway up and compression really starts to play a part. You've got the weight of all these blocks on the other blocks, and when one block is going to fall and hit the blocks really hard, you're gonna have a good chance for compressing the entire stack. Let's see if we can. This one's not going so well anymore, so we're going to quit this. I'm gonna press escape. Reset the music because we're no longer playing. So yeah, that was normal mode, just like normal Tetris, just has physics. Which is pretty cool. I like it. Not the most original thing, but pretty fun to play for about 15 minutes or so if you've got some time to kill. The other mode is Stack. In Not Tetris 1, this was the only mode you could play, and they've reintroduced it in this mode under Stack. So if you played Not Tetris 1, this is the Stack mode is basically what you played. The goal of this game is just to stack blocks as high as you can. There's no row deletion as far as I can see, unless you need like 100% or something, which I really doubt that is the case. Yeah, not really anything else to this game. You're just trying to see how high you can go. I'm personally not a fan of this mode, just because both of these modes, the goal is to get the most points possible. And with this mode, there is a finite amount of points. There's a point where you just can't go any higher. I'm sure someone could get a calculator, calculate the dimensions of this, and then calculate, and then divide that by 4 to see how many blocks you could get, and then multiply that by 100, which is the amount of points you get per block you stack. But yeah, there's just a point where you can't stack any more blocks. It's physically impossible to get past a certain limit in this game, and personally I find that it grinds my gears, so to say, just a little bit. Personally, I love the normal mode. I really like the normal mode much better than this mode, just because I know at some point there will be no getting better. Even if you get super lucky, get all the right blocks to fill up the entire thing perfectly, which I might add is probably almost impossible. This game's really difficult in and of itself. I'm just gonna hold down and speed up the speed of all the blocks falling so we can just get this over with, but yeah, not really impressed with this mode. It's probably a good thing I didn't play Not Tetris 1, because I probably would have found it infuriating, but I really love the normal mode. Definitely a game to play if you're interested in getting this game. Overall, it's a pretty solid game. It knows what it wants to be. It knows it wants to be a Tetris parody, and it's not trying to be anything else. I don't think the mod authors, the game authors, were trying to go for anything. A little cool sound effect there. I think that the authors, yeah, they knew what they were trying to go for. They were definitely trying to go for a good parody of the old Tetris game, old Nintendo Tetris game, and I think they did a pretty good job at doing that. Thumbs way up for doing that. For someone who wants to play this in their free time, this is not a hardcore game unless you're a hardcore Tetris player, and I don't really think there are many of those out there to begin with, let alone people who are going to want to hardcore do this due to the randomness of the game, and I don't want to say lack of skill, but there's definitely a lot more luck in this game. Not that that's totally a bad thing, but this is definitely a game you're not going to want to grind out and play. There's nothing to gain but your own high scores. You can even play 2-player. If I can get there we go. See, the controls are funky sometimes. Oh, I got 3,000 on that. I guess I'll put an ender again. But, yeah, you can play 2-player on the same keyboard, not online. It's got to be right next to each other, unfortunately. So if you ever want to invite a friend over to play Not Tetris 2, I guess you can do that. Play Stack or Invade. I assume Invade is if you get a row deleted, it's going to throw more stuff at your opponent or something. Guess we can test that out while I'm giving a little wrap up. But yeah, this is definitely a game you're going to want to play for 15 minutes at a time and then move on to something else. I personally find myself getting a little irritated with even the normal mode if I play it for too long. even though it is a great game. The randomness just may put some people off, be warned. Still overall, I think it's a pretty decent game for what it wants to be. I think that's about it. Check out the oh. Huh, that's weird. Apparently blocks can go through to the other person's screen. That's interesting. I probably should have looked at the multiplayer mode before starting, but well. Thank you guys for watching the first episode of 3, 2, 1, Go. More episodes to come. Not sure what I'll be reviewing next, but it'll be something awesome. It probably won't be a parody of a game. It'll be a standalone game. So look out for that. Please guys, feedback on this episode would be much appreciated. Things I could do better on for sure, but this episode was by no means perfect. So I am looking for feedback in that way. Also, remember, feel free to leave suggestions. Doesn't mean I'll get to it, so don't be mad if I never get to the game you suggest, but there may be a chance. So, yeah, until the next episode of 3, 2, 1, Go, guys, I will see you next time.